Greetings everyone, Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album War. Today we're going to look at two heavyweight album releases from the early 70s. One from 1970 by a band from Great Britain, the other from 1973 from a band from Wales. Both bands were trios at the time. Okay, neither band achieved like mainstream acceptance, but both bands have been talked about in the decades since as being highly influential both to heavy rock and metal and progressive rock bands, okay? All three super talented. Arguably, these two albums are considered their best or among their best. We're going to start off, the first one we're going to look at is Atomic Rooster's Death Walks Behind You, which is their second album, their sophomore album. And then after that, we're going to take a look at Budgie's Never Turn Your Back on a Friend, okay, which was their third release, released in 73. Roger Dean artwork right here. So let's start it off with the first one that got released. So this is 1970, Atomic Rooster, their second incarnation. The debut album had Carl Palmer on drums. Okay, Carl Palmer, okay, was formerly of the Crazy World of Arthur Brown, along with Vincent Crane on Hammond organ and keyboards. They left Crazy World of Arthur Brown to form Atomic Rooster, along with drummer Paul Hammond, okay, who joined after. Sorry, not with Paul Hammond. Basically, it was Carl Palmer and Crane, Vincent Crane, sorry, all these names. Carl Palmer, after the release of the first album, left to form the supergroup Emerson, Lake and Palmer, obviously. So in comes Paul Hammond on drums, an amazing drummer, and guitarist John Ducan. Okay, John Ducan, formerly of Andromeda, okay, heavy blues rock band at the time. So they released the follow-up. John Ducan also, by the way, contributed some guitar work to the debut Atomic Rooster album, okay? So this beast gets released. Pretty different from the debut. Debut's got a lot of prog rock and some little bits of jazz and blues and things like that. But the Thunder totally came out with this album. Lots of prog on here, but also not that much different from like the heavy stuff that like Sabbath was doing at the time. Or Deep Purple, right? So it kicks off with the title track, Death Walks Behind You. A heavy tune. Heavy guitars, heavy Hammond organ. Man, if you like Uriah Heep and Deep Purple, especially the early stuff, but maybe amped up a bit with the volume, that's kind of what you get here. The acrobatic drumming of Hammond, okay, who is a thunderous player. A lot of heavy riffing. A lot of kind of acrobatic arrangements between the Hammond organ and the guitar. For me, it's kind of, this album is almost like ELP meets Sabbath, if you can kind of picture that and wrap your head around that. So Death Walks Behind You, a great, great heavy rock anthem. Then you've got Vug, V-U-G, which is an instrumental, blazing instrumental. Great song, great song. Then we got Tomorrow Night, which was the hit single from this album. Real catchy tune, really catchy hard rock tune, okay? Then the lethal 7 Streets. Heavy, dudes. Heavy, I'm telling you. That's followed up by Sleeping for Years, another savagely heavy rock tune with great guitar work from Ducan. Awesome stuff. By the way, he also sings on the album. He's got a really good voice. I Can't Take No More, another blistering track. Awesome. Then you got Nobody Else. It's just relentless. Another heavy rock tune with some outstanding Hammond organ work. And then the whole thing ends with their Gershatzer, which is another instrumental. Again, think ELP, Deep Purple, little bits of Sabbath, right? Just really complex, really progressive, right, for the time, but still heavy. This is a very heavy album. It's heavy and it's proggy at the same time. Damn, damn, damn good. One of my, I'm not going to say favorite albums of all time, but man, it ranks pretty high up there. Okay, definitely a classic. Okay, next up, all right, from Wales, the little trio known as Budgie, okay, who feature amongst them. You've got Burke Shelley on bass and vocals. Okay, you've got Ray Phillips on drums, and of course the wonderful Tony Borg, or Borg, never know how he says his name, Borgie, whatever, on guitars and backing vocals. All right, so I was just going to say one of the unsung guitar players of the early proto-metal scene, but I think this band in general is one of the most underrated bands of all time. You know, we often talk about the originators of the heavy metal sound, and we bring up names like, you know, Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and Uriah Heep and Led Zeppelin and Sir Lord Baltimore, and you can go back to Cream and The Who and the Jimi Hendrix Experience, later on, you know, Judas Priest, so on and so forth. But I think it's like criminal for us to not mention this band in the same breath as those bands. Because, you know, these guys were recording starting in, what, like 1971? All right, this album came out in 73. This stuff on here and all their early albums is just as heavy, if not heavier, than anything Black Sabbath was doing. Okay? The thing about these guys, though, is all their albums were not just one after another headbangers. All right, what I really liked about these guys is they added a lot of variety to their music, kind of like Zeppelin did around that time period too. So you'd have the songs with the sledgehammer riffing, then you'd have these like kind of like quiet folky tunes, and you'd have tunes that mixed a little bit of jazz and blues in with the heavy rock. They kind of did it all, and a lot of times all within the same song, which you're going to hear on this album, right? So kicking it off, we got Bread Fan, which is that like the first ever thrash tune? Could very well be. There's no wonder why Metallica chose to cover this song, and love this band so much, because the kind of the blueprint of the whole thrash scene was found in a lot of their music. Okay, what else? Baby Please Don't Go, an old blues standard. Okay, the one bluesy track on this album. It's heavy though. What else we got here? You Know I'll Always Love You, one of the two like kind of folky tunes on the album. Nicely done. Burke Shelley had that high-pitched voice, not unlike Geddy Lee from Rush. Okay. What else? You're the Biggest Thing Since Powdered Milk. A great tune. And a lot of their like heavy tunes were like epics, were like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes long. This one is no exception. It's just cranking riffing in this song. I mean, these guys could bulldoze like nobody else. Great tune. Easily one of the better top 5, 10 Budgie songs ever released. In the Grip of the Tire Fitter's Hand. Slashing tune. I mean, killer guitar work from Tony on this one. Another absolute standout track from this album. Okay, then you got Riding My Nightmare, another quick little folky tune. The two folk tunes are kind of like, less than 3 minutes long. And then finishing it all off, we've got the hypnotic, ominous, dramatic Parents, all 10 minutes and 25 seconds of it. A tune that's kind of heavy, but what it reminds me of, think of like the younger sibling to Black Sabbath's Planet Caravan. It's kind of a trippy tune. All right, it's got kind of all these cool little effects going on there, but some really jazzy guitar work from Tony in this song. All right, so while it does, hit some kind of heavy solos and heavy blues rock riffs and things like that, there's a lot of cool like little jazz elements and spots. And like I said, the vibe of the song is kind of like dreamy and trippy, kind of like Planet Caravan. Very, very cool tune. Very, very cool album. So the question is, which one do I like better? This might be, folks, one of the hardest ones that I've ever done for me personally, because I just love both of these bands and I love both of these albums. So I'm going to cop out today and I'm going to go for a draw, because I've been debating this all morning, and it's funny because I woke up this morning, and yesterday I was thinking, I think Budgie will take this one for me, ever so slightly. But then I listened to this just a little while before we started taping, and I'm just like, oh my God, this album is so fucking good. I'm like, there's just, as much as I love, because I like, as bands go, I like Budgie a little better than Atomic Rooster, because I think Budgie, over the course of their career, were very consistent, have a lot of great albums. And, Atomic Rooster, their first 3 albums are great, and then the quality kind of really dipped off, and they don't really have as much output as Budgie has. But, but this is lethal, folks, as is this. I think possibly start to finish, this is a stronger album, but there's a half of the tunes on here are just mind-blowingly good. So, for me, the two kind of folky tunes, they're okay, right? Not really want to hear from Budgie, but the rest of it's just kick-ass. Whereas this entire thing kicks ass. So I'm going to give it a draw. I may wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what, this might ever squeak by, because this is a really strong album. A really strong album. One of the best albums from the early 70s. But then again, so is this. So, you know what? A draw, maybe a split decision here in favor of Atomic Rooster. I don't know. I'm just going to go with a draw because I can't decide, and my mind I would change my mind every day here, or every second, I should say. But you can't go wrong with either one. Remember, there's no winners or losers here. They're both great. Let us know which one you like better. Ironically, on our Facebook page on the poll, there's already a handful of people like, oh, I've never heard of either band or either album, which I find mystifying because I mean, if you're into like vintage hard rock and prog, I don't know how you could miss either of these two bands or these albums. But if you're one of those people who has never heard either album, now's a perfect time to go here on YouTube and listen to both in their entirety. That's the best thing you can get out of this episode, right? Never mind which one I like better. Go and listen to these, either for the first time or for the 100th time, because they're both dynamite. All right? As Jimmy Walker used to say. So this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube every damn day. Don't touch that dial, folks, because we've got a very cool top 10 song show coming up momentarily, which you won't want to miss. It's one that's been asked for a while, and I finally got getting around to doing it. So that's coming up. We got another top 10 song show coming up either later today or tomorrow. More classic album wars, questions and answers coming up this weekend. Mr. Jeff Young is going to be guesting on the show yet again. We're trying to do it tomorrow. We got a cool classic album war for tomorrow that we're thinking about doing in honor of someone's birthday today. Okay, we got a late rock star from the 70s today's his birthday, and we're talking about maybe doing a classic album war in his honor for tomorrow. So that's hopefully coming up, and a lot of good stuff in the coming days and weeks. So don't miss any of it. We'll see you real soon, guys. Bye-bye.